This time on Weeknight Mysteries, we're back, and my name is Yuras, and I'm here with my co-host Rain. How are you?
Hello, everyone. As always, completely good. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm actually glad that we are able to record kind of on a more regular basis, seems like.
A little too soon to say,
A little too soon to say,
but
but
we'll try our best.
we'll try our best, and this is essentially starting off on the right foot again.
Of course.
Also, milestone, we hit 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, so
Woohoo!
we want to thank everyone who subscribed. And speaking about our YouTube subscribers, today's topic that we want to talk about is a case of a missing young man from New York State that actually has been suggested by one of our commenters. I've never heard about this case, and I was very intrigued when I was looking into it. It's a very unfortunate case because we have a young man who seemed like he was going to do great things in his life. A very smart man that was really looking to become a doctor eventually. And the way that he vanished essentially 12 years ago, it's pretty baffling. We want to talk about Colin Gillis' disappearance case. Colin Gillis was last seen on Sunday, March 11th in 2012, 12 years ago. He was last seen at around 1:45 a.m.-ish in the town of Tupper Lake in New York State. It's a very small town. He was walking alone on State Route number 3 near the Franklin and St. Lawrence County line. So there's like two counties in New York State. And he was kind of walking along this dark, cold, highway-ish type of a road.
Why though?
We'll get into it. He was
Exactly.
walking from a party. Colin Gillis was 18 at the time of his disappearance. He was born on March 4th, 1994. He essentially disappeared 7 days after celebrating his 18th birthday. Colin Gillis is white. He's a white male standing at 6 foot and he weighs around 170 pounds. Mr. Gillis was wearing an American Eagle, white with black striped shirt, blue jeans and red sneakers. He may have been carrying an orange LL Bean backpack containing a red and black reversible LL Bean coat. If you have any information, please call the New York State Police Troop B at 518-892000 or email them. We will provide the information of which you could use to contact authorities in the description of this podcast. Let's talk a little bit about Colin's background. As I understand, Rain, you don't really know much about the case, right? You don't really know the ins and outs. You're like the audience who have never heard about this one, right?
Definitely.
Okay, so I'm gonna walk you through like the general kind of information that we have here, and then please stop me at any point during the recording. Growing up, Colin Gillis had skipped a grade because he was essentially a very good student, so he went ahead by 1 year. He played football and basketball and had a lot of friends. He was growing up in Tupper Lake, that small town in New York State. It's kind of in the northern part of New York State, so it's not really close to New York City, because you could imagine New York City is kind of at the lower parts of New York State. But he was actually growing up in the more rural towns in New York State. New York State is a big state, covers a lot of area in the United States. He was known for having a great sense of humor, and he liked going out and party with his friends. He graduated Tupper Lake High School in 2011. He is the middle child of the family. He has two brothers. One is an older brother and another is a younger brother. At the time of his disappearance, Colin was a freshman student at the State University of New York at Brockport, which is another small town, which is about, let me just get this information out here, which is about 5 hours away from Tupper Lake Village, where he was from. So he was studying in another kind of smaller town.
Was he living within that area?
I think so. I think as a student in college,
A dormitory.
He was already living in a dormitory. Mr. Gillis was a member of the pre-med program there. He was which was concentrating in biology. I believe his main ambition was to eventually start medical school in the future, and then later on become a doctor. And it seemed like, a man who already skipped a grade back in high school was probably definitely on the way to achieving this. Academically, apparently, he was very good. Colin was on spring break at the time of his vanishing. His college classes had finished up on Friday, March 9th, 3 days before he vanished. And he was headed home for his parents' house at Tupper Lake, New York. So he was heading from Brockport back to Tupper Lake to kind of, spend some time with his family. He had intentions of also reconnecting with some of his high school friends back in his hometown of Tupper Lake. And this is where we have to talk about the day when he vanished. So Colin's parents, John and Patty Gillis, were thrilled to have their son home for a few days, and Colin spent most of the day on Saturday with them, so he successfully went home from Brockport to Tupper Lake. The family had dinner on Saturday, and let's remember that he disappeared on early morning hours on Sunday, so he went out later on Saturday and never returned home. So for the first part of the day, he was spending the time with his family. Everything was seemingly fine. The family had dinner together and then watched a college basketball game on television. After watching the game, Colin got ready to go out with some of his high school friends. It was a cold night that night. Colin was only wearing jeans and a short-sleeved shirt. He had a jacket in the book bag he was planning to take with him as well. Some estimations I've seen that it was that night around -2 degrees Celsius. So something that we are used to here in Lithuania as well. A cold night.
Yeah, but he wasn't wearing his coat?
I think the idea was that he had his coat in the backpack.
But still, it's a little too cold not to wear a coat.
Exactly. And the bizarre thing is that the two witnesses that reported him seeing last, I think both, or at least one of them, reported that he was walking that night without a coat on.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, Colin left his house around 8:30 p.m. that evening. He told his parents that he would be home later on. He left the family house with his red and orange backpack, so I assume within that backpack was his coat. Firstly, Colin visited one of his friends who was living just down the street from him. From there, he got a ride with a group of friends to a residence on Lincoln Avenue. It's unclear if Colin and his friends had any concrete plans for the evening, but at some point they decided to leave the Lincoln Drive home and go to a party about 5 miles away. Now, this party, which was at a private residence on Paskungameh Road, was being thrown to celebrate the 21st birthday of one of the homeowner's relatives. So basically, someone was turning 21. It was a birthday party 5 miles away from Tupper Lake. I have some screenshots here that I took from Google Maps here. I'm going to be showing this on the YouTube channel as well. So this map kind of contains two, I would say, red dots. So one of them is Tupper Lake, and the other one is that Paskungameh Drive. And this is how the Paskungameh Drive looks on the Google Street View. It's a very rural road. There's really nothing happening there.
Yeah. I agree.
Colin Gillis and his friends were actually not friends with the group that was holding the party. So they didn't really were close friends with the people who were actually throwing that 21st birthday party. And they were not even invited to this party. I'm not really sure how they ended up getting there. They knew some of the people at the party, but they didn't normally hang out with them because Tupper Lake only has around, I believe, 5,000 people or 6,000 people living there. Not a lot of people. And in such smaller towns, everyone essentially knows everyone. So I think they were aware of who the people were, but probably weren't hanging out on a regular basis. At some point during that party, an argument broke out between some of the partygoers, and that later on escalated into a physical altercation. Colin's friends at that point decided to leave while Colin chose to stay. One source claimed that he was having a good time, so he actually went there with 9 friends in total, and all of them left, but Colin was the one person from his kind of group of friends who decided to stay at the party. No one actually knew why Colin wanted to stay there. So everyone leaves and Colin's the only person left at the party.
What do you think happened? Do you think he was just having such a good time, or do you think he was probably running away from his problems?
I'm not sure, but later on, there is a speculation that is coming up that Colin actually had a physical fight with one of the people at the party over a girlfriend. And I believe someone was at the party and their ex-girlfriend was also at the party. And I believe Colin was maybe hanging out with that ex-girlfriend, and now that guy with whom
The boyfriend.
the boyfriend got like angry. That's the idea that I had from the research, so kind of very hard to speculate on that.
Yeah.
Police stated that there had been around 40 people at the party before the fighting broke out, and they believed that all of them were locals. Collins believed to have left the party on foot around 1 a.m. We don't really know why, and he left alone. And I want to remind you that Paskungameh Drive is nowhere near Tupper Lake. Like, you have to walk multiple miles, like 5 miles or so, to get to Tupper Lake on a very cold night where there's barely anything visible, and I don't think he was even wearing his coat. So him leaving at 1 a.m. is a very strange kind of
It's very strange, and it's kind of not practical in a sense because you're walking in pure darkness.
Exactly, and you're cold.
Yeah.
And you have no coat. Well, you maybe have a coat, but for some reason you keep it in your backpack.
And just the fact that it's completely dark out there. And look at the state of the road. I doubt
Yes.
that there were any streetlights over there.
Definitely not. You are very correct. And actually, the Paskungameh Drive, the way he would have to walk out of that drive. So I have another map here that I took, and it's not going to tell you anything actually. But
Where's the city though?
the city is kind of here on the bottom right corner. You see,
Oh, it's so far away. It's literally in the middle of nowhere.
yeah, so essentially you have to walk out of that Paskungameh Drive just to get to the highway New York number 3. And then you have to walk along that highway to get to Tupper Lake for like miles. And Paskungameh Drive would be an incline for him to kind of walk out without any like railings or sidewalks or anything. So it's strange, but
It's pretty strange.
Yeah, but there's even more strange details coming up. So police have stated that the party broke out at around 1:30 a.m. So around half an hour after Colin had left on foot. It's believed that more than one fight broke out that night, and Colin may have been involved in at least one of the fights. When Colin left the residence where the party had been held, he walked north up Paskungameh Road until it terminated at that New York Highway number 3. 1 second, water break. Come on, Rain, fill the gap while I'm drinking water.
I know you're gonna edit this out, so maybe try editing out the 1 second water break.
No, I don't want to edit it out because it's gonna seem less
Authentic?
Authentic, that's the word I was looking for. Let's keep it authentic.
Okay.
Anyways, I need that water break. Come on, we're all human. We need water. It's
Definitely.
It's an authentic thing to do, to have a sip of water.
Hey, no worries. I'm definitely not fighting about it.
Perfect. No, I know. Okay, so let's go back to the story, right? So at some point, I already told you about this thing. Yeah, so the next thing I want to talk about is that Paskungameh Road is a rural road with no sidewalks and no streetlights, and Colin would have had to walk up a steep incline. The few houses that he passed on this walk would have been mostly obscured from his vision, as they are set 100 or more feet off the road and hidden behind trees. When Colin eventually got out of that kind of rough Paskungameh Drive road and finally got onto the New York Tree Highway that he was supposed to walk towards to Tupper Lake for, he should have turned right to follow that road back towards his home, the New York Tree kind of road. But for some unknown reason, he turned left and he was heading away from Tupper Lake. He was heading towards another town called Piercefield, which is another small town.
Question. Is it slightly bigger or is it slightly closer?
Slightly smaller, and literally, I have another map here. You know, I like maps. So it's almost identical distance away from Paskungameh Road, just in a different direction. He was supposed to head east, but he ended up heading west for some reason.
Interesting, because it seems like the road towards his hometown is kind of more lit, at least from the map perspective.
It just seems that way. Just there's more homes.
Oh yeah, more populated.
More populated, yeah. And
so it's gonna be easier for him to find like civilization or like cars.
On top of that, heading towards Tupper Lake, from the map that I have, you would eventually get to civilization a lot sooner.
Mm-hmm.
Now walking towards Piercefield, it seems like it's the same, like
just
6-7 miles, but it's just darkness.
Yeah.
Up until you get to Piercefield.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea why he went there, and it just seems very spooky.
Do you think it's possible that it was late? Maybe he was a little bit intoxicated, adrenaline pumping due to the fight, that he kind of made a mistake.
That is a very possible outcome.
Like his judgment was clouded at that point.
That is, and also getting out of a fight.
Yeah.
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 All right, so I want to talk about a man named Rich Rosentreter. Rich Rosentreter. At the time, he was editor of the Lake Placid News, a local newspaper. He was actually driving on that New York Tree Road that night. He was driving his mother to Tupper Lake. He had spotted a male figure walking in the direction of Piercefield, so most likely Colin Gillis, and the man wasn't wearing a coat. Rich didn't feel comfortable stopping. Once he got to Tupper Lake, he immediately headed directly to the police station to report his sighting. A state trooper was dispatched, but after making a few drives along that New York Tree Highway road, he found no one. Another man named Austin Toohey and his cousin Jordan Amell, who were both at the party also saw Colin walking that night around 1:30 a.m., so around what they claim half an hour after he had already left that party. Austin was driving his cousin Jordan to his home in Piercefield, the same place where seemingly Colin was heading towards, when they saw Colin turning onto New York 3 from Paskungameh Road. Austin stopped and asked Colin if he wanted a ride, but Colin Gillis declined. He told Austin that he was waiting for a friend to pick him up. So, allegedly, Colin was waiting for someone. After Austin dropped Jordan off in Piercefield, he started heading back towards that Paskungameh Road, I believe. He saw Colin for a second time as he was heading back home to Tupper Lake as Austin himself was heading back to Tupper Lake. Again, stopped and asked Colin if he wanted a ride, but Colin declined. It's unknown if Colin was actually waiting for a friend to pick him up. What do you think about that?
Very interesting.
Was it understandable?
Definitely.
All right.
I just initially thought that he just wanted to get out of that party, and I'm just generally surprised that he was intentionally or trying to meet up with a friend.
Or like saying to someone else from the party that he was waiting for someone to pick him up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. And then he ended up walking.
Yeah, but please remember this encounter with Austin Toohey.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna play a role in a little bit. The following afternoon at 5:30 p.m., Colin's family reported him missing because he had not returned home yet, and it was the afternoon. State police immediately launched a massive search for Colin. The search was conducted in an extremely organized and professional way. At a press conference held on Monday afternoon, which was now one day into Colin's disappearance, police announced that they had recovered 2 items believed to belong to Colin. One of the items was his driver's license, and the second item was his tobacco pipe, which is just a pipe that you would smoke tobacco from. The 2 items were found on that New York 3 highway near a place called Setting Pole Dam Road. In the area where Rich Rosentreter, remember that guy, that editor who was the first person to saw Colin on that road, had reported seeing a male, well, most likely Colin, walking without a coat during the night. Now, this location, this Setting Pole Dam Road, is actually in the direction of Piercefield, and it's quite a bit in the direction of Piercefield. I have this map. It's kind of a bit to the left. You see how it's a bit to the left?
A bit if you're gonna go out for a drive.
Yeah. It's a bit. So, and this is where his items were found. So we know that Colin himself
Managed to get there.
Yeah, he was walking for 1.3 miles at least on that New York 3 highway in the wrong direction. Why? We have no idea. And then on top of that, how is his items found? Isn't this completely bizarre? Just take a moment, Rain, and think about it. His driver's license and his tobacco pipe were found near a road. That's all the information that law enforcement released. We don't know how they were found. So Colin is missing, but what? Just along the road, we have his driver's license on the ground, and we have his tobacco pipe and nothing else. And I just don't understand how that would be the outcome. How is Colin leaving his tobacco pipe, leaving his driver's license just on the ground, and he's nowhere to be seen? That just doesn't happen.
I mean,
something's missing.
We have to take into consideration that maybe it wasn't intentional.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, that's where I'm kind of leaning towards. I'm leaning towards that this kind of now, to me, seems like foul play from the information that I'm having.
The driver's license is kind of tipping me off because if it was foul play, then why leave it there?
Yeah, but why leave it there if it's an accident, if he just wandered into the forest?
That's true.
You know, it makes less sense to me to go with the accident theory at this point.
Okay, so if it were foul play, do you think the killers or the attackers intentionally left those items there as clues, or do you think there was a big commotion?
Maybe it was a missed detail. Like maybe they missed it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
True.
it was a hit and run, and those items just kind of went to the side somehow, and they just got missed.
True. I mean, those items are small enough to be missed.
Unless those were the two items that Colin had on him, and he was intoxicated and cold, and maybe hypothermia was setting in, and he somehow irrationally left them on the road. That's another kind of way of thinking.
Maybe those
about it.
were in his pockets too.
Yeah, so that's another way of thinking about it.
Yeah, but was the bag ever found?
Not that I'm aware of.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's just odd.
Yeah, so during the search, conditions were rough, as the snow was waist deep in some areas. Think about waist deep snow. We maybe had ankle deep snow at the very most.
But this is in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Understandable.
I mean, I feel like waist deep snow would be a thing everywhere if it was supposed to be a thing everywhere. No? It's a very confusing.
Yeah, it's quite confusing.
Anyways, detectives continued their investigation into the disappearance and were looking into allegations that Colin had been involved in some sort of altercation at the party. They interviewed all the people who were at the party with him that night and were also monitoring Facebook and other forms of social media to see if they could glean any clues about what might have happened. Except for the couple of personal items found on the first day of the search, the license plate, the driver's license and the tobacco pipe, there was no evidence found to indicate what might have happened, and it's been 12 years. It's been a 12-year anniversary earlier in the month of Colin Gillis missing. So that's the information. This is what we have. I mean, anything that's jumping to your mind while I get a sip of water.
It's just crazy. It makes sense, but at the same time it doesn't. I mean, I have some few ideas of what might have happened, but at the same time they're like the information that we have are like contradicting it. Because initially I thought that maybe it was just another case of intoxication.
Yeah.
Like heading out of the party, he just wanted to go home, intoxicated enough, tired. It was in the middle of the night.
Yeah, we've seen cases similar to this where it's a rural location, like a party was happening, and then the person is missing.
Yeah.
We've seen this before.
Definitely. And then I also thought that maybe foul play was indeed involved because he was in the middle of a fight during that party.
Yeah.
But do you think it's possible that those attackers, the ones that he got into a fight with, do you think they would have waited for him to walk that far to attack him again?
If they wanted to do something unthinkable, then they would definitely not do it.
They would have waited.
Yeah, they would definitely not do it in the party. And this was actually a perfect time
That's
to do
true.
something like unthinkable to Colin,
That is very true.
if that was the case. So a new development actually had happened in the case 4 years ago in 2020 State police were seen digging at a property in the town of Edwards. And this property was known to locals as the Old Noble Farm in the town of Edwards. Now, this farm is about 50 miles away from where Gillis was last seen. State police declined to provide much information about this particular investigation. All they said that they were following up on a lead in Edwards on the Colin Gillis case. He said that, the police said that no arrests have been made and that they were following up on an older lead. But this was interesting because this was 8 years into Colin's disappearance, and law enforcement were digging properties in New York State 50 miles away from where he was last seen, 8 years into the disappearance. This to me suggested that maybe police were also investigating foul play leads.
Yeah, I think so. You know what this reminds me of?
Yeah.
This reminds me of, okay, I couldn't remember the specific name of the person, but we did a lot of cases wherein there was this young lady who went into camping in the middle of Canada, I believe, by the highway, and there was a party. She was in her tent. And
oh, I know what you're talking about. Oh man, I forgot the name of the case.
Yeah, but do you vaguely remember it?
I completely remember it. It was by the lake. Everyone apparently left, but she spent some time in the tent. And the next day,
she was missing.
She was missing. Someone stepped over her tent. I completely remember. I just, just vanished. The name of this victim vanished.
Yeah, and then after years of searching, they found her skeletal remains, if I remember correctly, somewhere like miles away from that camp.
Oh, they did find her?
Yeah, we did an update about it.
Oh man, I really completely forgot about that.
We'll try to remember it.
No, but okay, yeah, and yeah.
And it kind of like gives me the same kind of vibe. Like, is it
that's actually
possibly similar? Similar scenario that possibly the body is somewhere there, deep in the forest within that area.
Yeah.
Due to hypothermia, foul play, it's really hard to say.
Yeah, no, that's actually a very good point that you made, I remember that case. And now thinking back, it has a lot of similarities there. I do want to bring in some more information, maybe like the theories and something that I found floating around online that could potentially offer some information, some speculative information. There are many theories, but little evidence to back any of these theories or rule them out. Early on, it was suggested that someone could have accidentally hit Colin with their vehicle, then panicked and hid his body. Police are relatively certain that this was not the case, because there were very few people on the road that night, and such an accident would usually leave evidence behind. Another possibility was that Colin stumbled off the road, potentially as he was intoxicated, and ended up in the woods where he fell victim to the frigid cold. Hypothermia set in. Police believe if this was the case that they would have found Colin because they had allegedly conducted a very thorough search for Colin immediately after he went missing. So there was also that strange detail in this case where he started walking towards Piercefield instead of going to Tupper Lake. It's possible that maybe Colin went towards Piercefield on purpose. Maybe Colin had spoken to someone from Piercefield earlier in the night and thought that they were coming to pick him up, so he was walking towards Piercefield anticipating that person who he may have potentially have been in contact with earlier in the night to kind of pick them up, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And now this is where the really kind of damning stuff comes in here, and I'm not really sure how much I want to speculate here as well. People on Reddit are claiming that Colin... Okay, so on Reddit there are a few posts about Colin's case, and a lot of local people seem to have been commenting and leaving their kind of comments, and some people even claiming to be at the party are also commenting. And people on Reddit are claiming that Colin got into a fight with that same man who offered him a ride twice that night. That would be Austin Toohey. And Austin Toohey and Colin Gillis apparently had gotten into a fight over, as I assume, Austin Toohey's ex-girlfriend. And my whole idea was that the setup was such. Colin was maybe interacting with his ex-girlfriend, and Austin got angry and potentially had a fight. And now Colin left the party at 1 a.m. And then also it is claimed on Reddit that that police officer that went to investigate, remember the police officer that went to investigate after that editor, Rich, kind of reported seeing a man walking without a coat on that highway, was actually the brother of that ex-girlfriend of Austin. And potentially there's a whole kind of theory that it's a not inside job, sorry, it's like a cover-up, and that police officer covered up for his girlfriend and her ex-boyfriend, that Austin Toohey. Because the idea would be here that maybe Austin Toohey drove out and apparently hit Colin with his car, and that he then hid the body, and then that police officer was also someone that they know, and everyone kind of decided to not talk about it too much. So that's kind of what you will find if you dig for this case on Reddit. And I have no way of verifying any of these people's identities or anything, but this is what people are claiming on Reddit. So I felt like it's probably important to kind of bring this up. Also, people are claiming that Austin Toohey person is dead at this point. Someone claims that he may have died over overdose. I'm not sure about that one. And apparently that whole family was known to be kind of family living on the fringes, like more into the criminal lifestyle type of a family.
Ooh, that's pretty bad.
Terrible.
Yeah.
So if it's true, then we now have another kind of thing that maybe there was some sort of a connection to a fight that he had. And that would kind of that wouldn't explain much, honestly, but maybe that could kind of explain the tobacco pipe and
driver's
license being found maybe somewhere on the road, because maybe they hid him and these items were just something that fell off and the perpetrators were not able to find them and they were left there on the road. That's why, because I don't really see any other, well, there could be, I guess, ways how Colin himself discarded the driver's license and the tobacco pipe and then proceeded to walk into the woods, which is, I just don't know, just the probabilities. And on top of that, when you also account the fact that 8 years into his disappearance, police have been digging up properties 50 miles away, that means that they're investigating some sort of leads that are of foul play in nature. So I feel like that's kind of, for some reason, where I'm just kind of, with like a relaxed mind and just like with super open mind, that's where I'm kind of just drifting off. I'm just drifting off into that direction of thinking that something like sinister may have happened and there was foul play, and that there could be like reasons to believe that someone really ended this young man's life.
Mm-hmm.
A life that was supposed to be great. He was supposed to become a doctor.
Yeah.
And someone took that away from the society, which is terrible.
But do you think it could be just a simple case of mugging? Because in my head,
Not a lot of people there.
driver's license and tobacco pipe, these items could fit into your pocket as well as your wallet.
Yeah, true.
What if he was just walking in the middle of the night? There were some criminals muggers, I meant, who patted him, took the wallet, kind of roughed him up a little bit, maybe went a little too much, and those like the tobacco pipe, driver's license, they discarded it because those are practically not something of value.
I didn't even consider that one. I was always under the impression that there was so little people on that road that the chances of like that happening was slim. But it was actually a Saturday evening, well, Saturday night, Sunday morning, whatever you want to call it. So maybe on such a day there would be like traffic like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Also-
that's a good point. I never even considered this potential outcome.
Yeah, I'm also wondering if there were like wild animals in there. This is far-fetched, but just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I have no idea, but the location was fairly rural-ish,
Yeah.
so some sort of animals are there, but I have no idea.
And also one question.
Yes, of course.
Do you think there was something involved, like drugs?
At a party?
Yeah, because I don't know, just the whole thing without a coat on when it's -2 degrees Celsius outside, it kind of doesn't sit right with me. It's a little too cold for that. I mean, was he feeling warm enough to do that?
Yeah, that is very true. Like, stepping back a little bit, we at least, suspect that guy named Rich who was driving his mother, he definitely, didn't have anything to do with it. And if he did see Colin, then he did see him without the coat. Yeah, why would you leave without a coat? That's so bizarre.
It's really bizarre, unless you're feeling warm.
You're feeling warm, yeah.
Alcohol? Drugs?
I'm not even sure, but even at that point, to get to the place where that man, Rich, passed him by, he would have already have to have walked out of Paskungameh Road. So either he was wearing the coat and got super sweaty and decided to take it off, or he never had it on in the first place, So I think it could be a situation where he had it as he was walking towards, the New York Tree Highway. But by the time he got there, he was already so sweaty because it was an incline.
True.
And he decided to take it off for a little bit. Also a possibility.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's a bizarre case, and
This one's completely bizarre. It's really hard to
real bizarre.
figure it out.
But yeah, if you have some information, if you have a tip, if you think you know anything, or if you think that you know someone who knows someone or something, then please try to kind of do the right thing here. And, contact authorities. We will definitely provide, the numbers and email address that you could provide information to, and hopefully Colin's family and everyone who cares about him, including us, will get
An answer.
an answer.
Yeah, and may his soul rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace, Colin, if you're dead.
Yeah.
Maybe you're still alive, hopefully.
Hopefully.
But yeah, so this was the podcast today. I don't really have much to say. I had some questions that we could have analyzed at the very end of the podcast, but actually we literally talked about all of them as we went through the story, so it kind of just happened naturally. So I literally have no more to say.
Yeah.
And that's all from my side.
Yeah, this case is pretty tough, mainly because, sometimes we have like cases wherein we're kind of confident that this is what happened, or other times wherein we're kind of like leaning towards something. But this particular case is kind of odd because there are more questions than answers. We have our theories, but it leads to more questions.
Yeah, this is, the case that kind of, and this is the type of case that we would be doing on a fairly regular basis because, this is the type of a case where I feel like talking about it kind of makes sense, at least for us, because we're not experts.
Definitely not.
We're literally just two random people talking about like people going missing, and law enforcement already is working on it. You know what I mean? We're just talking, I guess, raising awareness. I don't think we should be raising necessarily awareness about like cases that are just breaking as we speak, and you need to have a lot of like a huge baggage of knowledge of like criminal investigations to kind of lead people towards we're not professionals. We're never going to become professionals at this field. So I think from us, like these type of cases that have gotten cold over the years, this is where we should be like focusing, you know what I mean? Because that's the only thing that could kind of provide any purpose, any kind of help to the families, to the victims, kind of talking about it, growing the community a little bit, and seeing where maybe we'll help someone eventually, So just that's my idea. These cases where you don't know anything, and you're kind of hoping that someone will come out with information. Because someone definitely, it seems like Colin's case is a case where someone knows something. Just my notion.
Yeah.
So many people at the party, a small town. I kind of think there's a very high chance that people actually know what happened to Colin. Someone should know. Just a question of if these people will come forward with the information.
I mean, it's been 12 years.
Do the right thing.
Yep.
Do the right thing. Okay, so anything else we want to touch upon? No. So yeah, guys, hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll hopefully be back soon.
I'll catch you very soon.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
See you.
Bye.